Welcome, guys, to the macaron class. Whew. I am so excited for this. I also am so surprised that it's already 2 o'clock because I thought I would have accomplished a lot more today than I have. But we are going to make macarons together, and that in itself is an accomplishment, right? I agree. I want you to know that macarons are, well, like so fun to make, and I make them all the time. They are, well, let's just call it like they are French, which means that they will do their own thing sometimes and they don't really care what you think about it. And that is why I love the French. But they can be finicky and tricky. And your macarons today may be like an absolute failure compared if you're looking at success being them being perfect macarons. I, however, don't define success and failure when it comes to macarons in that way. To me, you simply trying to make them, that's a win. That's a success. And they're still going to taste good. Even if they look like flattened like frogs, okay? They're still going to be delicious. And you're still going to make a delicious filling. And you're going to make something really good out of it. And you're going to have learned something. And you're going to have tried something. So be like, set the bar like really low. Like set your expectations at like the bottom, and then you'll succeed, okay? All right, so macarons. Super simple ingredients. We need eggs, almond flour, powdered sugar, and just regular white sugar. That's it for the base of our cookie. Ideally, you want your eggs at room temperature. So if your eggs are in the fridge right now, all you have to do is pull them out and then just get a bowl of warm water and then just let your eggs in the shell, okay? Take a nice little bath and it'll just warm them up. That's step one. If you're gonna need three eggs. And what size of eggs? That's a great question. I go with just kind of your regular medium-sized eggs, okay? And we're only using the egg whites, so don't start cracking them yet, all right? Your almond flour and powdered sugar. A lot of recipes, a lot of bloggers and very well-renowned, fancy sounding chef people will tell you, you gotta blend your stuff in a food processor and then resift it. You are welcome to do that. But those who have also taken my classes know that I hate with a passion cleaning my food processor. I have like this weird thing. I hate washing a food processor. It annoys me. So I never do it. And my macarons are very popular and very delicious. So it's up to you, but I don't use the food processor. You do want your almond flour though to be pretty fine. So if you have very coarse almond flour, you're gonna probably want to pulse that a few times in that food processor. I am gonna sift it though. All right, so you want a sifter. Find my sifter. You'll sift your powdered sugar and your almond flour through that because you don't want any lumps and bumps. You have the option of adding cream of tartar, okay? A lot of people will use cream of tartar, like a pinch of it in their meringue to help give it stability. I don't do that because I like to live on the edge and not use it. I've never used it, but you're welcome to if you're a little nervous. The cream of tartar will help give you a little more stability with your meringue. All right, guys, so we got our eggs. If they weren't at room temp, they're sitting in a nice little bath of warm water. Now, because I'm gonna let them sit a little bit longer, we'll go ahead and start with the almond flour and powdered sugar. That is gonna go into a separate bowl than the egg whites. The egg whites and that white sugar, not powdered sugar, just plain old white sugar, that is gonna go, if you have a stand mixer, your stand mixer bowl with the whisk attachment. If you don't have a stand mixer, no worries. Use your handheld mixer, or if you have like an immersion blender with a whisk attachment, you can use that too. But the almond flour and the powdered sugar is staying far away from the bowl that you're making meringue in. And the bowl that you're gonna make your meringue in, you need to make sure it does not have any grease in it or any, well, I hope it doesn't have dirt in it anyway, but like no grease in here, okay? It needs to be fat-free bowl, all right? That has a necessity for making the meringue, okay? No grease or oil in this bowl that you're gonna make your meringue in. which means keeping it away from our almond flour, which very much does have fat in it. Your almond flour and powdered sugar, look at, I did not clean my bowl because again, human here, why would I do my dishes? It's not clean like days, it's from the batch I just made. All right, medium-sized bowl, and you're going to be putting your almond flour and your powdered sugar into your sifter and just kind of sifting it in there, okay, in a fine mesh colander. In our fine mesh sifter, and I'm gonna put 1 cup of almond flour and 2 cups of powdered sugar into here. I'm just gonna shake it into my bowl, okay? I'm not gonna spoon the almond flour in. I'm just gonna go ahead and like scoop out 1 cup in there. And then 2 cups of powdered sugar, okay, into sifter. You are going to end up with some like little like balls of almond flour and powdered sugar at the bottom of your colander or sifter, whatever you want to call it. That is okay. Don't push those through. All right, so you're just going to kind of sift that through. Make sure you get all that through. Ta-da! And that's that. That part's done. And then if you had a lot fall on your counter, you just, without anyone seeing, slide it right back into the bowl. And we'll go ahead and set that aside. We'll come back to that later. All right. Your hands are probably a little messy. Make sure you keep your hands clean for the next step of doing our egg whites. Because again, we don't want any fat or grease or anything in our meringue. So I'm gonna wash my hands off real quick, and then we're gonna make the meringue together. Okay, so there's a couple ways to separate egg yolks from egg whites. I'm going to show you what I do and that I have the most success with. But if you have sensory issues and you don't like touching anything goopy, you will not like this method. And so I will also tell you another method. Okay, so the other important thing is if you have nearby, guys, a smaller bowl, go ahead and grab it. And that way you'll do each egg white into a smaller bowl and then transfer it into the bowl with your other ones. So if you have 2 perfect ones and then you screw up that third one, you're not in like, you don't have to start all over again, okay? All right, guys, we're gonna separate our egg whites and egg yolks. All right, usually we have Bob and Susie, but these are French, so French macarons, so I think what's a good French name? Like Amélie, all I can use Amélie. This is Amélie, okay? And she's about to have a bad day. The way I do it is I will crack my egg into my hand and let the egg whites slide through and keep the egg yolk in my hand. Again, we all learned that Becky has some control issues, and maybe I just like having the control of that. But if you don't like to feel egg whites go through your fingers, then go ahead and you'll crack it, and then you'll pass the egg yolk back and forth between the 2 sides, the 2 shells, 2 halves, that's the word, and let that egg white fall through. The reason I don't super encourage that is that you run the risk of that egg yolk getting caught on the jagged edge of your shell and puncturing it and then bleeding into your beautiful egg whites. All right, so I do the hand method, whatever, it feels like snot, but who cares, okay? So to do that, that one-handed egg crack comes in handy. All right, instead of Bob here, we got Louis, all right? We're covering Louis' eyes, covering his mouth, and we're gonna crack him on his mustache, okay? All right. Now, instead of going straight into the bowl, we have our hand here, all right? And we're gonna crack him into our hand and let that egg white fall right through our fingers and keep that egg yolk in our hand and not in the bowl, okay? All right, so again, got my successful egg white. I'm putting it in my bowl right now before I do my second one because we do not trust me not to mess that one up. All right, this guy's off to the beach. He's got his sunglasses on. We're gonna call this one George. All right, fingers over George's eyes, thumb over his mouth. We are cracking George right above his mouth. We are opening him into our hands, letting that egg white fall through. Keep that egg yolk right there and discarding it accordingly. All right, so fingers over her eyes, thumb over her mouth. We're gonna crack her. Egg yolk is in the hand and egg whites fall through. There we go. And there we are. Let them eat macarons. Those are our egg whites, and they're going into the bowl that we're going to have our whisk attachment. Now, if you want to add a pinch of cream of tartar, have at it. That helps add stability. Whisk attachment, eggs. I'm going to turn on my stand mixer just for like 30 seconds until I have it going at like a speed of 4 to get my egg whites a little frothy. Once I get a little bit frothy, I'm gonna then add in 1/4 cup of white sugar. I'm gonna add in that 1/4 cup of white sugar once my egg whites are frothy. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn the speed up to probably about a 6 on my stand mixer, which if you're doing something else, we're looking at like a medium high. We are making a meringue. So we are going to get stiff peaks. That's gonna be, honestly, guys, either 4 minutes to like 7 minutes, depending on the speed of your mixer, the strength of your mixer, and all those other details that go into it. So I will show you what it looks like, but I'm gonna describe it first, so in case you happen before mine does. You want it so when you lift up your whisk, okay, that the white meringue, it should be white and thick, stands straight up like the Eiffel Tower, okay? So if you pull it up and it comes up and then like boop, droops over, it's not there yet, unless you're in a high altitude, and then go ahead and stop there at soft peaks. You're going to tell us straight up like the Eiffel Tower, okay? We get 1/4 cup of white sugar is added once your egg whites get a little bit frothy. After just about that amount of time, yours should be starting to look kind of white, okay? And then in about another 2 minutes or so, I will have them nice soft peaks, okay? So right now, mine's thick, okay? But it's not at all a meringue yet, okay? So don't worry if yours doesn't look like it's nice stiff peaks yet. It should just be kind of like white and thick right now. Okay, so your eggs should be getting nice and thick. If they're not, beat more. Now, if you're high altitude, you want to do it where see how it kind of flops over like that? Let me get a better angle, okay? If it still kind of flops over a little bit, that's your soft peaks, and that's when you're going to stop if you're at high altitude. If you are like me, and I'm in Iowa, so I'm very much not at high altitude, I'm going to go about like 1 minute more till it's nice and stiff peaks like the Eiffel Tower, and then I'm done. If your egg whites are like doing nothing for you, chances are you got some grease in your bowl. All right, been there, done that in class. I can help you out, but you might just need to give it a little bit more time. Hey, all right. Now, for those wanting to color their macarons, which I do recommend because otherwise they do like a little like, all right. You have a couple options. One, you could have added your color as your egg whites were getting to those stiff peaks. The reason I didn't give you that option is because if I do give you more than one thing to worry about while you're making a meringue, all hell breaks loose, all right? So this time, I didn't give you that option. Next time, as you know you're getting close to those stiff peaks, you can add in some drops of food coloring, okay? Instead, what you're gonna do is you will add the drops of food coloring right now, and then as we're mixing together that almond flour mixture with our meringue, that food coloring will get mixed in. If you're wanting to add in your flavor, you can do that too. Make sure you're using an extract, okay, and not a flavor oil. You're adding a flavor oil, again, it just kind of interacts poorly with your meringue, okay? So use an extract for that. Again, I don't use any flavor at all. Otherwise, just use your average, regular old food coloring, guys. Nothing fancy. You can use the gel. You want to use not a lot. That's going to mess with your ratios. So, but at the same time, you want to make it brighter than you want it to look afterwards, because it will fade in the oven. So if you want a nice, beautiful, rich color, make sure it's extra rich in the batter, okay? If you want it to be a nice pale blue, go ahead and go a little darker than you think in the batter, because it will fade, okay? If you're doing flavoring, just do about like a half teaspoon of flavoring to it. And then if you're doing your coloring, I can't give you an exact amount because every brand is a little bit different, but a few drops is usually just fine. You can use gel, powder, anything like that. So I have my egg whites. These food colorings I got off Amazon, and the brand is like JELIFE, natural powders. All right, so you're gonna pick out whatever color you want. You're gonna add them to your meringue. I got my stiff peaks, a little stiffer than I should want. I'm going to do some pink macarons. I'm putting in some of my flavoring, coloring there. I am not flavoring it. Didn't mean to trick you all there. Okay, and then I'm gonna add in half of my almond flour and powdered sugar mixture to here. I'm gonna start mixing it. Here's the thing. The mixing technique is not gonna be stirring. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm actually deflating that meringue a little bit by pressing it against the side of the bowl, and I'm kind of like pressing through like that. And once I kind of get decent amount through, I'm going to add in the rest. So I'm kind of mixing in the first half, and then I'm adding the rest, and I realize I want some more pink. I want a little brighter pink. Okay, and so I'm taking the sides. All right, so I'm pressing it against the side of the bowl, deflating the meringue. And what I'm looking for is lava consistency, which I say with a slight smile because it's used in all recipes. It's like lava is as if we like come across lava every day in our life. We know it really well. So like, you know, like the lava that you see when you walk to school, that consistency, which means it flows off your spoon, your spatula, okay, in a nice ribbon. You don't want to mix it too much, and you don't want to undermix it. So you want it to be able to kind of come off your spatula, flowing like the lava you know all so well, okay? Once it flows like lava, you're going to then move to almost like the very last step, and then you're almost done. You want a large piping bag or a large like gallon Ziploc bag. Does not have to be a piping bag, okay? And you know, if you don't have a gallon Ziploc bag, use a smaller one, and then just do more than one batches. Like, it's common sense, guys. It's not fancy. We're good. All right. If you're using a piping bag, this is the size of my piping bag. Quite big and large, I know. But because you do a lot of batter, so just be aware of that you might be doing like 2 batches in there. If you want to do some fancy things like take your gel food coloring and stripe the inside of your bag, do that. It's really fun. You get cool swirled macarons, okay? Make sure, again, we're not preheating the oven yet to 300 because they have to set up. Set up means that they need to get a nice little film of like a skin on top so they're not sticking goopy. So make sure that you have a place to put your trays that is not on top of the oven. So if you do start preheating your oven, it doesn't heat up the tray. Done that, okay? And then you're also not like putting these in a really humid room. Like, don't put them in a steam room or in like near a bathtub, okay? Or in the rainforest. Okay, that's my advice. To better fill piping bags, if you have something like a cup, or this is one of those immersion blender things, put your piping bag in there and fold it over like this, okay? Any glass works too for this. And then you just pour your batter right in there. Your life is a lot easier, okay? And yes, you will have to cut the tip of the bag after you put it in. Don't cut the tip, guys, before you put it in. Oh boy. That won't end well. That will end with it going all out the other side. All right. Put all of your lovely batter in there. This is my batter. It's now in the piping bag. Tip still intact, all right? I'm going to show you like how I put them on my templates. For those who are like, templates, what? You can either quickly go on Amazon and buy some Macaron templates and hope that they have like 20-minute delivery, or you can get parchment paper and you can also print out the template, but we're just making circles. And so maybe you're one of those people that can eyeball things perfectly and you don't even need a template. That's not me, okay? So I got my template on here. And I'm going to show you real quick how I pipe them on, so that way you guys can keep moving forward. And while you guys do that, I'm gonna jump back through and help out all of those asking for it. All right, so I am cutting off the tip. I'm not doing a ton, just the tip, just the tip. Okay, and I'm gonna start in the center, and I'm just gonna kind of fill in my circle. And I want to make sure the thickness, oh good, you can't even see that. Well done, Becky. The thickness is about the same. So again, starting at the center, and then I'm just going to kind of go clockwise around, filling in my circle. And it's okay right now that there's like a little kind of, let's call it like a little nipple on top, okay? Because I'm going to make that disappear really quickly. So again, just staying within my template. These don't spread at all. They keep their shape. So the size that you pipe them is the size that they will bake. After you fill these all out, you have to tap your tray a few times to get out any air bubbles. So you'll just take it, you go, that's fun and loud, huh? A couple times. I won't do any more for your ears. But you're going to pound it down a few times and you'll see little bubbles pop up. Any kind of weird, it should be smooth and glossy, and these will settle out, that any little weird ripples will settle out. If they don't, you don't want like little nipple macarons, you can just use a toothpick to kind of push it down like that. All right, you are going to let those sit for 30 to 40 minutes. So you're going to let these sit, and this is a different batch. Mine did not just change color until when you touch them, they're no longer like goopy and sticky, okay? So you want there to be that nice skin on top. What that's going to do is that's going to force you to develop the cookies to get those feet. Those feet are that awesome little bit on the bottom of the macaron. I'll show you just a little bit. And you need this to be developed, that skin. So when it bakes and it rises, it's forced to go up like that instead of out, and it doesn't crack on top. So make sure you can touch it and it's not sticky. It can be a little tacky, but you don't want it goopy. All right. So for me, in my kitchen, because I have a dehumidifier going for macaron days, it takes 30 minutes. For you, it might take an hour to 2 hours, okay? Again, don't put it in a steam room and you should be okay. All right. You will start preheating your oven, guys. It's only to 300, so it's going to preheat so fast. So you can just go ahead and do it right as they start to get kind of a little set up a little bit more. Go ahead and preheat to 300 degrees. Now, here's something that's important, is your oven may not be like an accurate temperature. So if you're, what I do recommend doing is not baking all these at once. Only do one tray at a time and adjust the time. I usually do 300 degrees for 20 minutes. But I have an oven that thinks it's like a rebel and wants to run a little warmer. So for that one, I pull them at 17 minutes. So you need to figure out your oven because the temperature that you set it to, those are rarely that accurate. Okay, so keep an eye if they start to brown up or anything like that, you can pull them out. You want to bake these on the middle rack, which so if you're not like me and you don't have 4 ovens in your kitchen, you might have to do different batches, okay? If you do have 4 ovens, then you can do them all at once. But otherwise, do one at a time, middle rack, because if it's too close to the bottom, you'll burn the bottoms, close to the top, you burn the tops, okay? We're Goldilocks in this right in the middle, okay? So, cool. Let's move on to buttercream for the filling. For the filling, you guys can use anything you want. I use the buttercream because it's what I like to do. But you could fill it with a ganache. You could fill it with marzipan. You can do it with like a mascarpone filling, okay? You could do lemon curd. You could do a lot of delicious, awesome things. The reason I do buttercream is because it's easy to get really creative. With your buttercream, you can also add in like Nutella, right? Do a Nutella buttercream, okay? Here's how we make buttercream. You want your butter to be soft, okay? Room temp, not melted, just room temp, okay? My ratio for buttercream, 1 stick of butter to about 2 cups of powdered sugar. All right, this thing, you're using the paddle attachment for your stand mixer, or you're using just a handheld mixer, or you really can do buttercream by hand, okay? Use it like a spatula or a big spoon and like put your arm into it, call it a workout, okay? Put your stick of butter in there, start it going, and then slowly add in some powdered sugar on slow until it gets all mixed together, and then turn it up on high. You can make multiple flavors out of 1 batch of buttercream. How do I do that? Well, guys, make your batch of buttercream like I did already, and then you take some out and you put it in a separate bowl, and then you add your flavor into that bowl, mix it up, taste it, declare it delicious, and then keep doing that in separate bowls, and then you can have like a ton of different flavors of buttercream. Again, guys, the flavor, the consistency, it's all up to you. You don't want it to be, however, super, super thick or super thin. Boy, that sounds familiar, right? It's like making macarons all over again. Got a little flashback here, all right? Because you're gonna want to be able to like pipe it or even just like spoon it onto your macarons, okay? You are tasting it, you are adding your flavor. The amount of flavor you add depends on how much you're making. So if you are doing just the 1 stick, 2 cups-ish, then you're gonna probably put about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of your flavoring of choice. You can also color your frosting too, your buttercream. Sounds fancier if we say buttercream than frosting, all right? I like to add a pinch of salt because I like the sweet and salty contrast. But that's your choice, okay? So once I get it to a nice thickness, I'm gonna put it into a piping bag. And again, I have now flavored it and tasted it, and I think it's delicious, and maybe I've added color to it. I don't know, okay? I'm gonna put it into a piping bag or a Ziploc bag. Doesn't have to be a piping bag. I'm gonna cut off the tip. And just as a reminder, guys, when you are piping things, always hold at the top and squeeze down. Never hold at the bottom and squeeze up. That doesn't end well, okay? To fill your macarons, you take your buttercream or whatever filling you're using. You're gonna put some in the middle, okay? Don't put it all the way to the outside. Leave a little on the outside. You're gonna take your other half and you're just gonna kind of twist it on. Don't push them together because these are fragile, and if you push them together, you'll crack them, and then you have to just eat it, okay? But so you kind of twist it on. So let me show you guys again. So I got my 2 halves. I'm putting some on. Something different about me, maybe compared to other people who make macarons, is I usually do a lot of filling. Okay, a lot of people don't, but I kind of like the filling, so I do a little bit more than the normal macaron baker. Okay, so I have some on there, and I take the halves and I just kind of wiggle them together. All right, these things cool really fast, so yes, you should always cool things before you frost them. Across the board, thank you for the person who brought that up. I really appreciate that reminder to say that. Let them cool. But guys, they cool really, really fast. So just put them on. I don't put mine on a cooling rack because that's just like an extra step. That why would I do that? I just let them cool on the tray, and they're cool within minutes. I am going to pat myself on the back because somehow, again, without ever timing these classes, we're pretty good at ending right at time. Your time is valuable. You have honored me with your time. And I don't say that as a sarcastic smartass that I am. I say that genuinely and really caring. It means a lot to me, guys. I truly appreciate it. Make sure when you post your pictures on Facebook, or if you are an Instagram person, I am on Instagram, so find me there, and make sure you tag Becky's Mindful Kitchen so I can see your macarons, okay? If you are a Clubhouse person, you can find me there too, at Mindful Kitchen. We'll be doing some fun rooms about cooking and mindfulness and all that fun stuff. You guys, making macarons is all about vulnerability and understanding that you're going to fail, and it's okay. And we are here to build each other up. So even if your macarons don't look great, you are still welcome to post a picture, okay? And tell us how they tasted. And tell me what you want me to name this like bizarre, weird cooking class show thing that this has become, okay? So do that. I am so excited to see you next week for dog treats. And then that next week for tortillas and all sorts of fun stuff. The next giveaway is when we reach 10,000 people on Facebook. So keep inviting others to join. And I will see you next week. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.